Are music genres really a thing anymore? Maybe it's just me, but it feels like genres are no longer as distinct as they once were. There's a lot to talk about here, and as we dive deep, notice the footage throughout this video showing artists and bands that are notable for blurring the lines between genres, some famous and some not as famous. Let me know down in the comments if I missed anyone. Music today crosses genres in ways we've never seen before. I feel like it's becoming harder to find new songs, bands, or artists that stick firmly to one specific genre. In fact, I often hear songs that blend multiple influences, creating something unique that doesn't fit neatly into any traditional box. It's almost like genres themselves are slowly dissolving in favor of creative freedom. Overconsumption of music has led to this genre blending. We've entered a new age of musical accessibility. In the past, music exposure was limited. Young listeners would often be exposed to certain genres because of their parents' musical preferences, or by listening to what's popular on the radio. Take me, for example. I grew up on a limited selection of rock music because that was mostly what I had access to. My musical exposure was pretty much dictated by a handful of radio stations, and they only played the biggest hits. My connection to music, my ability to create it, and my appreciation for it were all shaped by this restriction. I grew up in a very low-income family, so buying CDs or expanding my collection wasn't really an option. However, fairly early on, when the internet became available, suddenly I had the freedom to pick and choose the songs I wanted to listen to. It felt like an incredible shift for me, one that empowered my musical journey. But the internet wasn't always reliable back then, and I remember a lot of days when I had to wait for my connection to work, hoping that I could actually listen to my favorite songs. Fast forward to today, and we're living in a world of musical oversaturation. Now, music is being produced at an unprecedented rate. Every day, new tracks and artists flood streaming services, making it easy to discover music we never would have come across before. There are clearly positives and negatives to this, but overall, I believe the positives far outweigh the negatives. The internet has given us access to a variety of genres, artists, and sounds that we might have never heard otherwise. It's a beautiful thing, especially for someone like me who grew up with limited access. As someone who actively makes music, I never imagined that my own music would reach anyone. And yet, here I am, having some impact on people I never would have dreamed of, even if it's just a few listeners. The fact that someone, anywhere, has my music in their ears is mind-blowing. Playlists have quietly shifted the way we consume music. One of the most notable shifts in how we listen to music comes from playlists. Playlists, whether personal, consumer, or professionally curated, have had a significant impact on music discovery. Here I am sitting in a crowded coffee shop, writing the script, while a playlist of music ranging from lo-fi, chill step, rock, and hip-hop fills the atmosphere. Personally, I love the diversity. It's definitely one of the best ways to discover new music, for me at least. And that brings me to this point. In the past, we may have listened to music one song at a time, but now we have these pre-curated collections of songs that introduce us to entire new genres or subgenres. Imagine this. A playlist designed for rock fans, but with a twist. It includes modern rock, classic rock, and even some indie bands that are hard to categorize. You might start with a familiar genre and then find yourself swept away by songs and artists you wouldn't have sought out on your own. The more diversified playlists are, the more they push the boundaries of genres and introduce listeners to music they might never have given a chance otherwise. I'm a bit of a history nerd, and it makes me reflect on past generations. Artists and listeners before our time could never have imagined a world like this. There was a time when musicians would record songs and either no one would hear them or the music would just fall on deaf ears. And let's not forget, in earlier times, music wasn't nearly as accessible. The mere concept of music being readily available to anyone who wanted it, anytime they wanted it, would have been revolutionary for past generations of musicians and listeners. We happen to be alive at a time when music flows like waterfalls, from creators directly to listeners' ears, instantly and on demand. It's genuinely a magical time for music. Now, here's where things start to get truly interesting: the blending of genres. The rise of genre blending has spawned a whole new generation of musicians. Artists like Lil Peep and XXXTentacion were at the forefront of this genre fusion. Their music clearly blends rock and hip-hop, two genres that seemed almost oppositional in the past. If you listen closely, you can hear it. The heavy guitar riffs paired with hip-hop inspired drum beats, and the vocal styling that aren't just rapping, but lean heavily with the rawness of rock. Lil Peep's vocals are grimy, with the rock-leaning aggression, while X's music also straddled the line between aggressive rock and laid-back hip-hop. This is a clear example of how the lines between genres are becoming less and less defined. For me, this genre blending is particularly appealing because it brings me back to the roots of rock music, but with a modern twist. But what about the state of rock music today? It's no secret that rock music isn't as dominant in today's music scene as it once was. Hip-hop has taken the spotlight in recent years, and the music industry is heavily focused on that genre. Rock artists and songs aren't being promoted as much as their hip-hop or pop counterparts. However, there's a notable trend in country music that's absorbed elements of rock. Country artists like Jason Aldean and Brantley Gilbert are integrating heavier guitar riffs, rock-inspired song structures, and even gritty rock vocals into their tracks. It's fascinating to watch how the genre is evolving and how rock elements are being absorbed into other popular genres like country. The future of music genres is ever-changing. As we look into the future, it's clear that the concept of genre is becoming less rigid. Music will continue to evolve and blur the lines between influences, creating something unique in the process. The possibilities are endless, and who knows what the future will hold for the music industry. One thing is certain though, whatever happens, we're living in one of the most exciting times in history, and personally, I'm here for it. I'm curious to see how these genre lines continue to shift and how new, innovative artists will emerge from this constantly changing landscape. I just hope to be around to witness it. Thanks for watching. Be sure to subscribe, leave a like, and let me know down in the comments what you think.